What it do, baby? It's your boy Baki back with another one. I know I'm a little late, but I just wanted to talk about my overall thought process over Invincible Season 3. Let's talk about it. I'm going to be doing things a little bit different. What I think would be pretty cool, since everybody's probably already seen Invincible Season 3, we're going to talk about spoilers and stuff like that. I can give you my overall general idea of it and stuff if you haven't seen it yet, but what are you waiting for? Go see it. But what I'm going to do is, instead of showing you guys clips, I think it would be actually fun if we showed you guys maybe a couple of the images from the comics of iconic scenes throughout the season, and then maybe you can kind of get an idea of what it looked like and, the little differences between the two. So overall, first off, I'm just going to tell you flat out, I absolutely love this season. To me, this has been my favorite season so far. I know season 1 was a major hitter for a lot of people, and I thought the season was okay. Season 2 was all right, but that mid break really broke it up for everybody, including myself. I actually read the whole entire Invincible comic during season 2's break. That's when I decided to read the comic. I couldn't wait anymore. So season 2 was rough with that. Season 3, it's kind of crazy because, in the first two seasons of Invincible, there's a lot of differences of how they tackle things. Scenes are here, other scenes are there. This goes on, and it feels different when you watch them. Season 3 is really, and I mean really, really close to being almost the exact same as the comics, and almost everything is laid out beat for beat. And that's not to say that they should have been doing that or shouldn't have been doing that. It just shows you how great the story is itself, that you don't really need to touch anything, right? You can just make a lot of things animated. You're already going to pull plot points out that weren't there to begin with in the first 2 seasons, and then boom, you now have a beautiful, beautiful season that demonstrates so many layers of things that have happened before that they have to deal with, and things that are happening now that you have to deal with. Life, baby. You know what I'm saying? I think that really, really showcased how incredible this whole medium is right now with Invincible, bro. It literally changes the game in a lot of ways, even though it's old content. Even though this came out a decade ago, it's still relevant now and hits home now. And there's so many things that I liked about this season. I got some notes and stuff, so we're gonna kind of go through like the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you will. You know what I mean? First off, I guess we could talk about Powerplex's episode. I think that episode was really, really huge. Aaron Paul did a decent job. He sounds just like him. I mean, he sounds just like himself in Breaking Bad, so he didn't really have much to grab or take with it. But what he was saying was very, very important to superhero genre as a whole. A lot of the time they don't take responsibility for this stuff. And the irony is that episode is almost identical to Batman v Superman. Aaron Paul's character Powerplex is essentially Batman in this scenario, and Superman is Invincible. Same thing. It's looking at this giant event that happened that was world shattering to most people, but to the Invincible people that it doesn't harm, it's just another Tuesday to them. Or so that's what they think from their perspective. They don't really understand that there's a deeper meaning, So I actually really, really appreciated that episode, because again, to me, it just felt like I was watching BBS all over again. So I thought that was really cool. There's also some really, really awesome moments with Oliver. I know Oliver is annoying to a lot of people, but I think the reason why Robert made him in general is because sidekick characters are usually corny and come from a place that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Oh, your family was orphaned. If your family died, you're an orphan. Now I'm going to pick you up and take you to help fight crime. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if you're already brought into it and you have an aging thing that makes you age faster, so you're already growing into these things naturally, it's going to force the child to be incorporated into the story, which means he's annoying like a kid, but it's there for a reason and not just there to sell toys or whatever else. It helps solidify everything going on as a whole, that sometimes they have to ground themselves back down to be careful for Oliver's safety as well as Invincible's. I guess we could just talk about like the final area and stuff, a final ending. I mean, final segment, you want to call it, of the show, the last like 2 or 3 episodes, right? First off, we got to talk about the big elephant in the room, which was the Invincible War. Now, the Invincible War is done completely different in the comics, and I don't think it's fair to compare the two because the Invincible War has cameos from Image Comics that have existed throughout the entire history of Image Comics since the 90s. So, Pitt's there, Spawn's there. All these characters from Image Comics are showing up, making cameos, defeating Invincible characters. So it's really not even in the right realm to compare the two in that aspect. What I really, really enjoyed about the live action version is we got to see characters, these Invincible characters, in a lot longer limelight than we did in the Invincible War. See, the Invincible War is supposed to be like a play on Crisis on Infinite Earths or World War Hulk or any major event that does these crossovers that forces you to read 100 different panels from 100 different comics from 100 different superheroes to then get the whole idea of what's going on this giant crossover. So they solve it all in one comic. Literally, the Invincible War is in one comic, just like the Invincible War is in one episode. So it's literally almost the exact same in that sense. And I think that didn't work well with a lot of people, and I think they could have made it longer, or they think they could have made it longer. I'm fine with it being one episode, but I think making it 2 episodes would have actually gave us more time to kind of deal with the other marks and shit. I think that would have helped out tremendously with the audience feeling the way they did, where it felt like the last 3 episodes were kind of like blended together like so much it was almost like a movie, almost not in a bad way for me personally, but I'm just saying, like, the audience, I get it. If you didn't know it was coming or something like that, you kind of were like, people were hyping up this Invincible War, and then you think you see it and it's gone in a flash. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. All right, I guess we gotta talk about after the whole everything that happens in Invincible War, it almost happens the exact same in the show, in the comics. They're like the same thing with Angstrom when he hits them all with balls and the teleporters. All of these things you're seeing, like, none of those things are different than in the comic, which is awesome to me. It's just like I'm watching panel for panel, and I'm just like, man, I feel like I've seen this before. And I'm like, well, you read it last year. So a lot of it is just blending and bleeding together where it feels, I don't know, it feels surreal. It's super awesome, actually. So when we get to Conquest, it's the only difference from the comic to the like live action is the comic's more brutal, and Eve doesn't have her moment. Eve has her moment in the show. Everybody has longer moments in the show, and I think that's what's better about the show personally. And I think the drawings look better in the show. There's some really, really great drawings that I'm sure you guys are seeing right now up on the screen, that look amazing. But I think that the interesting thing is that you don't get those long moments because they couldn't necessarily convey that across these panels, or the issues would be longer. Then you'd have a 200 issue, then 300 issue. Next thing you know, you're never ending this comic series. So I think that that's very important to remember when people are like comparing, saying this looks this way or this looks that way. Don't worry about any of that. Take both mediums as they are and just be happy that we're pretty much getting almost panel for panel a lot of these iconic moments and shots, even words and dialogue that you think would be original to the show come from the comic. So you really can't, there's really no room to complain about those things. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think it's such a great, fantastic season, because when I read the comics, but prior to that, like when I read the original seasons comics, like, I don't know, issue 1 to, I don't know, 15 or whatever the hell it is, not even 15, 10, right? Like, it's depicted very differently. Everything is very, very different, and I think that that's very important to realize, that the show is okay to go different ways, which is why I'm interested to see what they do with season 4. That thing that Conquest did where he bent down the mark and he whispered in his ears, none of that has ever happened before, and it's a great like bleeding factor that allows for them to lay out a little bit more threads. You know what I'm saying? Sorry about hitting the mic. It allows for them to lay out a little bit more threads. So overall, I think it was an absolute banger of a season. I had a great time watching it. Let me see if I got any other crazy notes. Oh, Eve is an idiot, bro. She's like, I can make air dense. Then she makes Conquest stop moving, and her next move immediately is to hit him with a spiked hammer. And the hammer, she hits him with the base side of the hammer, not the spikes. whack, bro. That kind of stuff is what makes me mad about like superhero stuff sometimes. It's like you tell me you can do these amazing things and then you do the dumbest thing possible right after you do something somewhat cool. Oh, bro, and then when Conquest drug Mark through all of that whole little like vacation spot, bro, I was like, "Oh my god, imagine you were there on the vacation spot. You just chilling. Next thing you know, just dragging you through the whole and oh my lord, bro. All of the destruction is just insane in this show, man. It's just so much weight to have, bro. I'm telling you, like I think about that all the time. It was, oh my god, just insanity. So technically, the issue it ends. The season ends on issue like 61 ish, if you will. So there's 150 issues. Somebody said in the other video. So 150 issues. So still got a while to go, man. We still got a while to go, especially if they're making season 4 a little bit different. You know, with this whole thing with the Dark Blood stuff and Satan and everything else, which looks interesting. So if they're doing all of that as well, then we're gonna have a much deeper story, you know. So I'm there for it, but I hope they don't deviate too much because then it's gonna take 15 years to get this story out, you know. Oh, I gotta give a shout out to my boy Michael Dorn as Worf, bro. Oh my god, he did such a great job. His voice is so iconic, and he sounds so different than he does as Worf. He sounds nothing like he does as Worf, but his voice is so iconic it kind of bleeds through anyway. Oh my god, so amazing as Battle Beast. Mwah, great job, Michael. Some of the things that I don't like about Invincible is I hate how Mark just always takes his eyes off the prize. Always, man. I mean, now you know he's like, oh, no, next time I won't hesitate to kill. But bro, really, you think we gonna believe you, man? You just keep doing it. You gotta stop. You gotta focus up, bro. You were about to take down Conquest. You see a pink light, and you're like, Eve, like, okay, Eve's coming back. Let's figure that out in a second. You gotta finish your plate in front of you, bro. Why are you can't get distracted? And it happens, he gets distracted. So that's kind of what I don't really, like about Mark sometimes is that kind of annoys the hell out of me. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and the thing with Cecil, bro, and this is in the comic too. Again, this is not, anything from the show, but this is just a gripe against Cecil in general. Why would he keep Conquest alive? And I know, like I said, I've read the whole thing, right? I'm saying, why would you keep Conquest alive and your deterrent is explosives? You know that these Viltrumites can take explosions. What do you mean your deterrent is locking him in a bunch of steel and explosions? That's your gigantic deterrent for basically Superman. Okay. Whatever you say, Cecil. Live your life. Really no other bad gripes for me personally. I absolutely loved it. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I'm glad they dropped some plot lines with Mark's ex-girlfriend getting, oh my god, there's some crazy plot lines in the stupid comic book that I'm glad they dropped. And yeah, overall I absolutely loved it. I know it can't be what everybody wants it to be, which is a one-to-one rendition of the comic. Like that would just be so boring, bro. I don't want that. I want something more. I like that the fights are longer. I like that everybody's getting their moments. And I think it's a great show, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Great job, everybody. Great job to the whole cast. Great job to the artists, marketing team, everybody. You guys did it, knocked it out the park. Like I said, phenomenal season, and I can't wait to see what's next. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.